Tom Davis, PGA Professional here with another episode in the Quarantine Golf series looking on how you can design more effective practice and training environments. Now yesterday I talked about challenge and how difficult or how easy you make your training sessions is going to affect how the outcomes that you achieve from your training sessions. Today we're going to move on to talk about variability, and there will actually be some link to some of what we've talked about previously. Now, first of all, I want to just discuss variability in its broad sense, and certainly the notion or the idea of consistency within golf. So let me just say before we start that the golf course itself is very variable. We play golf on a non-uniform playing surface. A lot of other sports, the playing surfaces are very uniform, same size, same width, same kind of surface. Golf is very variable, and within that, of course, the golf course itself varies from day to day depending on weather conditions, etc. Golf swings are very variable. This is going to be probably big news to some of you who are constantly searching for a more consistent swing. Golf swings are very variable because you as a person are very variable. So you are going to bring different things to the golf course every time you go and play and practice. You might have had a hard day in the office, you might have had a hard session in the gym. That is going to make you variable and your swing variable. And because of that, then our outcomes are always variable. So what I mean by that is in terms of the shots that we hit, there's going to be great variation in how much our shots go through to the left or to the right or long or short, but also in terms of our score as well. Nobody shoots consistent scores. There's always going to be a range of scores there as well. So these are important concepts just to understand broadly about variability. And because golf is so variable, I think it's important then that our training environment should have some level of variability or promote variability within them. Because of course, if we were just to constantly just hit golf balls on the driving range in a very low variability environment, doing the same thing over and over again, then that may not then transfer particularly well to an environment like the golf course, which is very variable. But I would say there is a caveat here, and I've seen a lot of videos and a lot of people talk about how if you want to make your training more effective, then you should change club after every shot, change target after every shot, for some notion that just having variability or a high level of variability is in and of itself going to make your practice somehow better or more effective. And now that is not the case. And as I've said with the other tools, you've always got to link what you are doing and how you're designing your training session back to what your goals are. And remember, we talked about this as a continuum, thinking about short-term gains, which may not stick, to long-term performance gains, which are going to last hopefully longer into the future. And that if we want short-term gains, then maybe we would want less variability. If we wanted longer term performance gains, then we maybe want more variability. Now, in the short term, this is going to make performance better. This is going to make performance a little bit worse, as we talked about yesterday. So that high variability is not in and of itself better than low variability. It very much depends. So another example would be if you are working on technique, then a low amount of variability may actually be helpful for you to start making those changes as opposed to going into some high amount of variability. So it all very much depends upon what your goals are, where you are in the learning process, what your aims are. Now think about this again as a continuum. So it's not either or, it's kind of shifting along from one side to the other. So typical low variability practice we would see is people hitting the same club, hitting the same shot to the same target with the same focus. Now, of course, that's going to be much easier and promote those shorter term gains, because if you hit 57 irons in a row to the same target, after 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to start to be able to work on that kind of feedback from all the previous shots so that the subsequent shot gets better. Now, of course, this maybe doesn't represent the golf course so much, and this is something that we'll talk about in a later video. And then we work our way along this continuum to maybe more high variability training environments, of which actually just going out and playing the golf course would be the ultimate. But of course, now this is not always appropriate. You might not have enough time. you might not have the access, you might be working on some technique changes and don't feel that this would fit into what your goals are at the moment. So we've got to be a little bit more subtle in how we use variability to meet our goals. So again, think about it as this continuum. It's not an either or. Work your way along here depending on what your goals are. Okay, so we'll discuss another tool tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody.